Since the Auditor General's shocking revelations of the scandals in the JDIP, the Prime Minister has acceded to some of the demands made by the opposition by firing the CEO of the National Works Agency and removing responsibility for the JDIP from the Ministry of Transport and Works, albeit that the previous minister responsible, Minister Henry, has told the country that this is simply a temporary reassignment. We need to make it absolutely clear, however, that we in the opposition do not believe that these actions are sufficient to remedy the gross mismanagement and the misuse of taxpayer resources that has become typical of the JDIP. From reports we have received, files and documentation that would be pertinent to an investigation have been removed from the National Works Agency offices. It is therefore imperative that the police be requested by those competent to do so to immediately begin an investigation into possible fraud in the JDIP program. And indeed, the Auditor General's report raises serious allegations as to the possibility of fraud. The police, in pursuit of these investigations, would need to immediately take possession of all relevant documents, computers, records, etc. within the National Works Agency relevant to the JDIP program. Second, we are also insisting that this project needs to be brought onto the budget and made subject to full parliamentary accountability and to the regular procurement rules of the government of Jamaica. Third, in keeping with the above, we are insisting that the agreement with China Harbour be renegotiated and the arrangements changed. There can be no more selection of contractors for any element of the project without some competitive bidding. Fourth, we also need a proper forensic accounting to be done by independent accountants. This is important not only for us to determine the extent of the value for money received by the Jamaican taxpayers, but we need also to be clear on what, if anything, has happened to monies that for work that may have been paid for but which was not done. Fifth, there must be some political accountability. It is also clear from what has been presented in the Auditor General's report and the report of the Public Accountability Inspectorate that Mr. Wang could not have acted alone. Mr. Wang has pleaded guilty to not properly responding to the request of the Contractor General. But it is also clear that there were policy decisions that were made purportedly by Mr. Wang, such as decisions as to the terms of the contract arrangements with China Harbour, the use of the ministry's other resources, such as the bridges under the Maybe Johnson project. All of these were purportedly policy issues settled by Mr. Wang. Policy issues are the purview of the minister. Mr. Wang should have had no authority to settle policy matters. If he did so, then it means that the minister was not exercising his authority properly. If Mr. Wang did not act alone, therefore, then it would mean that the minister was a direct accomplice in this scandalous scheme. The Prime Minister needs to step up to the plate and settle this matter. He cannot study the issue forever, and I understand that he's undertaking a study of the matters arising. The Parliament will soon be prorogued, the current Parliament. He needs to ensure that the Jamaican people are recompensed for the misuse of their resources. I think we should recognize generally that the whole treatment of the JDIP program in the Parliament goes to the heart of the practice of democracy in the country. Questions have been avoided. Questions properly put in accordance with the standing orders have been ignored, have been avoided. Answers, when forthcoming, have not been complete. The democracy requires that the rules that govern the operations of Parliament, the rules that govern the responsibilities of the Contractor General and the Auditor General need to be properly followed. Otherwise, the democracy cannot function. And what we have seen in this project, in the way the Auditor General's report and inquiries were dealt with, in the way the Contractor General's inquiries were dealt with, in the way parliamentary questions were dealt with, all of this suggests a threat to our democracy and calls into question the commitment of the government, led by Prime Minister Holness, to the fundamental principles of the Jamaican democracy.